as I'm sitting here thinking about if reparations is something that can happen in our lifetime, I think that the education part would be crucial in order to see reparations for Black Africans, because I believe a lot of people in this country don't really understand what our experience has been. And with that being said, I think the U.S. government should just make sure that the curriculum is nationwide. The U.S. history curriculum, that's a requirement in every school, especially a school that's getting funds from the government, just because that would change the public understanding. And there should be more conversations. They should have, diversity training so that people are more aware. Because now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I really think people who are not used to discrimination or being the other fully understand, because they're so used to themselves being reflected to the point where when someone else who doesn't look like them is reflected, it looks political. It's something that is controversial to them because they're so used to only seeing a certain group in certain positions, so it's the same with Black people. They're so used to seeing Black people in certain levels of society. So once you see Black people going up or trying to go against a stereotype, it's kind of hard for them to wrap their head around it because they're not used to seeing, for example, with Kamala, they're not used to seeing a Black and Asian Pacific Islander, Indian, okay, someone Black and Asian in that position. The same with Obama. And that's why I think, in order for us to fully get there as a society, we have to address the wrongs in our school system and, you feel me, have better information out there.
I feel it.
Okay.
Okay.
You have to wrap that up.
Go off.
Okay.
So we all made good points, and
Hell yeah.
we were talking about the government, and this is the question I wanted to come to the table with you guys, because we see the injustices that happen in the streets. We see the incarceration rate. We see the rules. You went on the white supremacy flower, and we've seen all the stuff that is pitted against Black people in order for us not to make it. So I wanted to ask you guys, is that an excuse? And maybe I'm saying excuse for not a lack of better words, but is that an excuse for Black people to? Let's just make a difference.
All right, what?
I remember a Chris Rock special. He said there's a difference between Black people and there's a difference between Black people and niggas. And I'm about to get real serious right now because I gotta get this. I gotta get this off my chest.
All right, I'm here for it.
And y'all know there's a difference between Black people. There's a difference between niggas. And white people think that all Black people are niggas. Some of the Black people, and you were talking about the stereotypes and stuff like that, especially in the workforce.
Oh yeah.
Like you just said, they don't expect Kamala Harris to be in a position like that. They expect us to act a certain way. They expect us to talk, walk, and dress a certain way. So when you don't fit that mode, and you're in the workforce, and you're in these big places with white faces, they think of you a certain way. And I want to just go to, maybe you can say that there's 80% Black people and 20% niggas. But how? No, honestly,
not the percentage, not the breakdown.
I'm gonna just say. Let's just say that for the sake of our argument, there's 80% Black people and there's 20% niggas.
I don't care who you are. Black nigga.
How the hell do we reach the niggas? I'm just gonna say that. How do we reach the niggas?
Like I said,
the
I call
motherfuckers,
every Black person nigga.
Okay,
but
it's you know what I'm saying.
Term.
I know what you're saying.
How do we reach the Black people who do not fully understand that the
situation we're on,
and is in the environment that they're in has more control over them than what they.
Yeah, let me just say one more quick point. Yeah, that's exactly where we're at. Let me just say one quick point, because I feel like, and this is an important thing. I feel like it recycles in a way. So you have a nigga in a community not understanding fully what's going on. He then recycles it into having another kid. And then it goes back and back. See? And this is something that the government has set in place and put rules and standards in order. But it's time to educate ourselves, because I say this every single time, and I'm going to say it again.
What?
Daddy Bush ain't did nothing for us. We couldn't depend on Daddy Bush. We couldn't depend on Reagan. We couldn't depend on Bill Clinton. We couldn't depend on Sunbush. We couldn't defend on Biden. We can't defend on Obama. We can't defend on Trump. We keep on looking to these figures. We keep on looking at these figures and acting like they're going to actually do something for us. We just talked about for 30 minutes how the government, what the government owes black people, and we know they're not going to do it. So how do we reach the niggas?
Okay, before we say that, my same point with Obama is like, even if you don't agree with his administration, you have to admit seeing a black person in the position as he was as the president of the United States definitely did something for the black community. If it just meant, oh, that little boy looked at him and was like, I can do that now. Just because for so long, I will argue that the stereotype type of stuff just made a lot of black people think like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I can't do that, or they'll never respect me. And I think Obama just played a good role with that, just representation. And that's why I think representation is important to the black community, because you're going against what is shown in your environment.
I got it.
But wait a minute. I'm not done. Look, come on. I know. I wanted to be a lawyer. Look, well, I don't know about that anymore. But with that being said, I see what you're saying. And it's just like, for me, though, it's hard to fault a group of people when I kind of look at it as a system that produced those thoughts, which produced a lot
100%
of people to just not be aware of their position in society, to the point where we're talking about race, and I do believe race is important, even though race is a social construct. But I also think like poverty, being lower class is even more important. But at the end of the day, when it comes to race and how, the society is super racist, it doesn't matter when you're black or brown, where you're at on that fucking, I guess, scale. But when it comes to class, I feel like if we're able to unite and just have a class conscious, that would be different. And that would be the real revolution that the government doesn't want to see. So they use race to divide. But with that being said, I just feel as if as a people, we could get there to the point where we are aware. And it counts for the people we can, people in different environments who might not be aware of everything that's going on. If we had a set leader and a set plan, I just feel as if, like I've been mentioning, because of what happened in the 60s, because of what happened to a lot of black leaders in this country from our own government, that lack of direction kind of has the black community scrambling and trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way for us to live our life? Because you're going to have people who, like me, have a okay job. I have a decent job, and I'm able to get by the nice way in America. Then you have people who were born into, lower class, didn't have as much access to resources, but because of that, in the environment they were raised, an environment that put their people there just because of discrimination and racist laws, because at the end of the day, it's facts, segregation and shit. But it's just like, it's hard for me to judge somebody if I was in their shoes and I didn't have the experiences that they have, because my experiences shaped me and my views. So like, it's hard for me to say that, because then I feel like when we say that about, I guess you're saying like poor blacks or people who just don't see race as important, we're neglecting the fact that still black communities contribute a lot to our own identities, like nails, outfits, hairstyles, hella stuff comes from different parts of our community. And like, even the black people who do go to school or who are higher class, they kind of harm our community just as much, because they're not as in tune or connected to black people, if that makes sense. So they're harming people as well, because now they're in a society where they went to school, we're around a lot of rich people, whatever the fucking situation may be, and they don't even know that they are having racist views of their own people.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
and
that's a great point.
So I feel like it kind of goes both ways, like. But I don't know. What do you guys have to say? First, Obama.
About Obama, like, I agree with Cabria. Like, I've had this conversation with Cayman before, and I've tried to like just say more like representation wise, like just being able.
Oh, I got y'all niggas. I
I
can't wait.
Down.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just,
I got y'all.
Just for black people to just finally have like that top representation of like. I know we not all might not be able to make it to that point, but one of us made it to that top of the mountain. So it's like something that's you can see as like possible now, so to speak. Because before that, it's just all white men. So it's like, could there ever be a black president? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know something that's ever attainable in this country. And then just having that one president, even though he might not have done as much as we would want for the black community, just being able to have like unlock that hidden player on Mortal Kombat.
And it was a nigga.
Yeah,
next president, who?
Be like,
a nigga.
Who? Like, ooh, I can actually do that. That's something that is obtainable in this country. And I just felt like that representation alone was like, not to say good enough, but
I think it did something.
Go ahead and answer the question about the niggas too. I want to hear your thing on that, and then I'm gonna come back and I got y'all point about Obama.
I feel like the rich niggas and then the niggas have to be reached in like a different way. Mm-hmm. Like the rich niggas who make it and kind of just forget where they came from and start living up in that white Eurocentric kind of like reality and get kind of lost in the sauce, so to speak.
Really?
Like there's like a certain way you have to interact with those type of people, because not only do you have to be like with the whole Lil Wayne thing, like he's black.
That shit pissed me off.
He's black and he came from what you would call like
oh my goodness
the rough upbringing and shit like that.
100%.
He made it to the top, got the money. And then when you ask him about black people and stuff like that, it's just like he doesn't.
Like, oh yeah, I don't.
He's lost. Like he doesn't understand. Like he didn't live it.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like that's just like, I would take that nigga to therapy, honestly.
Man, but I think with Lil Wayne, you have to understand. Like for me, I understand people when I understand their experiences. And with Lil Wayne's experience, like you said, because he got shot, or he actually shot himself. Remember? And then he said all the cops were trying to get the drugs and stuff, and then one cop saved him. So he always had that kind of bias towards cops, where he's never going to speak out about cops. Which even during the Black Lives Matter situation, that was really a hot topic. It was kind of like you can't be a black rapper not speak out against this. First of all, rap is kind of like, you feel me, that protest anyway, that rebellion, music anyway. But then also when you think about it, of where he came from and how that when you're in a situation where it's literally do or die survival stuff, you're not thinking group, you're thinking yourself. So to me, it makes sense when you become famous, you're like, fuck all them niggas, because only people that you know is people who came from your struggle, and you don't know the other black people or the other people who just try to help you. You just know other black people who, even though they are black people and you want to be cool with them, the same niggas trying to, you feel me? I don't want to get all into it, but hurt you or whatever. I'm not, because I don't like speaking on stuff that I don't really know, but I'm just saying that mentality, that survival mentality, can do a lot to the person.
That's understandable.
Yeah. Okay.
Who do you think would be easier to reach? Like a person like Lil Wayne, who's came from the struggle, made it, and kind of like forgot who he was, and so to speak, or like somebody, Judas from the Black Messiah, who kind of like really just has no idea, like institutionally wise, or like who he is as a black man. Who do you think is going to be harder to reach?
That was a good question. Who's harder? Who do you think who's harder to reach?
I threw it at you first.
Well,
I was thinking.
Well,
yeah, that was a good ass. Judas and the Black Messiah, or someone like Lil Wayne.
I think it will be easier to reach the one that doesn't have anything, because you see. Well, I mean, Judas and the Black Messiah. I mean, the guy in there. That was a good analogy, but not a good analogy at the same time. But why I say that is because somebody that doesn't have the education was so easily influenced. Was so easily influenced by the CIA guy, because he was the first person that came to him and got in his ear about stuff. So imagine if the black community was the one that got in his ear. Maybe he would have been influenced a different way. Instead of somebody that has money and as corporate America or in this society, they think that money is the root of everything. So I feel like that would be hard to get somebody like that who already has money than somebody who just needs to be veered in the right direction.
Dang. I mean, I feel like when I'm thinking about this question, like when you say get that person, like do you mean get that person to be a race conscious?
Yeah.
Like group
race conscious.
Like do stuff and to benefit the other group, like period. I would have to say, like, it depends on who. It depends, like, who has more to lose in a sense. And for me, like, when I think about like someone like Lil Wayne, he can go about it so many ways without really threatening his livelihood that it would be easy to reach him, but on a surface level, I would say. But someone who's like William O'Neal, used to crime and stuff like that, and Judas and the Black Messiah, Judas and the Black Messiah, it would take an incentive. It's someone to come and take some of the burdens off so that they can be able to actually care about stuff like that, if that makes sense. Because it would be hard for me to really care and be able to get my community together when in my community to survive, you have to attack the other person who looks like you. You know? Like, that to me is a whole mental kind of, like, that's like a war to me, like internal conflict, because it's like, you want to say, oh, I care about black people. Oh, I want to do this. But like I said, in the same community that you're living, those other black people are like your competition in a way. Or like, you feel me? Like, you see, I don't know how to explain it. With Lil Wayne, you have a black person who's able to isolate themselves, you feel me, and say they care, but not really deal with living and being with people who are on the same level as you, if that makes sense. Like, Lil Wayne has more to lose, but I feel like someone like William O'Neal just doesn't have the resources to even get there. So I feel like to convince someone in this country specifically, I think it might be hard to convince Lil Wayne to really care, because it's just like, you already excluded yourself from the group. You already made your money in this society. Having money is such a high status, you feel me? That to the point where you wouldn't care as much, but you would just throw some dollars that way.
Exactly.
You might say
it's
a
just
little
influence.
bit something.
Yeah, it's just influence.
Yeah.
Answer your own question, sir, and then I'm coming back to y'all.
I would agree with. Did you say? Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be easier to reach someone like William O'Neal.
Okay.
I feel like that money is just such a great influencer, and it's like he's made it to that point where it's like he's black, but he also has that influence of the money to where he might still get treated differently, so where he might not be as affected by the institutional systemic racism. So it might be harder for him to understand it, or it might be harder for him to realize that it's still there because it doesn't directly affect him anymore because of his money and his influence.
Yeah, his influence.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that I think about
And I don't want this to be a Lil Wayne Lil Wayne point. I want this to be a richer kind of
using him as a name.
Black. Yeah, using him as a name, like a richer black. But let me go. Let me just channel back real quick to Obama. Oh. Yes, the black kids see it. Like, we need that. And I mean, a lot of people are. I just checked the time because I'm about to go on a tangent. A lot of people. I've said that. I've heard that. I mean, I'm personally the one. I remember 2009. I think we were like 5th grade at the time.
I had the shirt.
I didn't go to school. Yeah, you stayed home and you watched it.
But you know,
okay. Yeah.
You know,
whole family came over.
Right.
Well, it was.
I was in Ohio,
it was like a tailgate.
snowing and stuff. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
as fuck.
it was like a thing where your
Black
parents were like,
people.
"We need to see it."
Right, because it's history.
But
Once again, black people.
let me play the devil's apple bottom and say this. Do y'all think
the devil got cake?
The devil's apple bottom, because y'all
with the fur?
let me play the devil's advocate.
Okay.
I saw a TikTok. It was a girl. I don't know her, but she was like, white males always be like, let me play devil's, and she just started saying
poli sci.
I don't
Political
know.
science classes.
But anyway.
Oh yeah, go on.
So you guys say it's such an inspiring thing for a black person. I mean, and I don't want to make this. Like I said, I don't want to make this a Lil Wayne point. I don't want to make this a Obama point, because there's stuff that he maybe wanted to do and he couldn't because he didn't have control of House and Senate, and stuff was blocked and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna make this an Obama point, but I'm gonna make this an Obama point. Don't y'all think the image this is what y'all got to get, because somebody throws the ball over here and y'all not looking this way. Don't y'all think the image of a black man not really caring or not really putting the black people at the forefront is just as damaging of an image for black people as it is a good image because he's the president of the United States? If there's no laws change, if black people are getting shot in the streets, if stuff is still happening, what's this image that you guys are talking about when but he's speaking out because Trump wouldn't say nothing when this happened or when that happened or when somebody got gunned down. So Obama can go sing Amazing Grace at the church and every black person just sits. Every black person just, Obama is in the church at, I forgot, I think it was a Charleston shooting. He went to the funeral. And I mean, he can be sincere and 100%. I don't feel like Obama has like this bad agenda against the black community. I'm just saying, if the black president didn't have a priority for black people, what kind of image did that portray? Versus the black image of, the kids see this black president and say they can do that. Like, we shouldn't be trying to tell our kids that they need to be the president of the United States anyway. Honestly, we need to be telling them they need to be other parts of government, because that's what really controls this shit. The president is one person. So I love to have the image, but that imaging was just as damaging when black people are getting gunned down and you're not doing nothing and you're not putting no policies out. I don't care if you got rejected.
I'm mad.
Oh, I'm not mad.
I know,
but go ahead and answer that. I'm gonna go back like Birdman real quick.
Okay,
That's
this is
that's the Takashi.
You better. What did he also say? Put some respect on his name. In the West.
Okay,
You ain't fucking with my boy Obama. But I see the point that you're trying to make. But you have to think about the time that Obama was president. It was a time, 2008 through 2016, where people didn't understand racism. People didn't as a nation. Lot of people. But listen. Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out. Of course, he understood racism.
Okay.
He is a black man. Perceived black man in America. Yes, that nigga understands when people look at him different, hold their purses. Just that feeling that he knows as a black man. That's how I know Obama, for our race, did a lot just by being president. To me, just seeing that. But there is a danger with that, and so I would agree slightly with you. Just the fact that we see it and then we don't think that. How I explain it is it's just it's like Oprah. It's like this. It makes that perception that anybody can go and do that. Any black kid can do that. When in fact that's not the case. Like we know, Brock had obviously different chances. He went to different schools, met people, all that shit. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I just feel as if Barack Obama, just for the black community, was such a major part of it. And his image just helped with the representation. Just the same Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, having a black superhero did for a lot of black people. That's the level I would put Obama on. But with that being said, just image-wise, just capability-wise, just seeing yourself. But my main point is back to the time he was president. People weren't having conversations like we're having. We needed a Trump to come in to say, y'all thought shit was sweet with Obama, so that people can really wake up and get real. So that this administration, they're pushing for real change because we got comfortable with Obama being president. Okay, maybe racism isn't going to be as bad. And then the white backlash came. You feel me? So I just feel as if we have to be careful when we speak about Obama as the president and what he could do, because at the end of the day, it's not his responsibility to help alleviate the racism that's found in every system in this country. You feel me? He's just an image that's just giving you hope, but also letting you push forward and know that you could possibly do that. But also, the likelihood, I ain't gonna hold. It depends, because it does. But with that being said, I don't know. I'm also very iffy about critiquing black leaders and stuff like that in public. I know. On a
understandable
on a YouTube base like this, or just for me, because I just feel sometimes we tear our people down when they're the first to do something. And it's if we have multiple in that same position, then it's okay, now we can compare and contrast. But if you're the first black person in a society that had 44 white presidents, and if you look at the policies that they passed and how they harm black people and other people of color, and then you have the one black one, and you put all that responsibility on him, but not the people who create the system, it's kind of damn. Imagine if he was president now instead of Biden. He probably could push hella shit because people understand now. People didn't understand racism back then. And that's it with my argument. Went in a little loop, but
I was leaning. I was like, ooh, came in, okay. Cabria, okay. Yeah, I can understand what you mean by having that figure and be okay, we made it, now what? And then we never get that what? And it was okay, if we can't even get a black person to do this for black people, how can we expect any other race to do for it? Because it's we got one, but how many others do you think there's really going to be? And I feel like Cabria was saying, we were putting a lot of pressure on him because of that, because I feel we understood we made it in there, but what are the odds we're going to make it in there again? So we need him to really get shit done. And when he didn't get everything that we would want done, it was kind of like, oh wow, you get this power and you don't do what we need.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can understand what you mean, but no, at the same time,
Yeah, I mean,
good representation,
like
honestly.
I see. Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
what. That's why
It's like
I
a
didn't.
Oprah
I'm not
thing.
trying to blame him for everything. That's why I tried to. I said when I said what I said. I said
Okay.
that he didn't have. He was trying to push stuff and he didn't have power, and
He didn't have the votes.
he didn't have the votes.
For the House. And that's
So
the most important thing.
that matters. But I'm just talking about in the image, in the grand scheme of everything, the image. But we won't see Obama's real legacy until we see people 20 years from now say that they were inspired by him, and that's why they're in the positions they're in.
You're tripping. I see Obama's legacy to this day.
But I'm just talking about in the people that you guys are claiming that are just so inspired by what happened. I'm talking about the people that are youths right now that will go into the next generation and propel the and want to be in the government. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that legacy won't be seen until now. Maybe Obama's legacy, whatever legacy you see right now, I can understand it. I mean, Obama has did a lot of stuff, but I don't even want to talk about Obama.
Will it hold? Will it, like?
No. I'm not saying it won't hold. I'm saying we will see the true.
Yeah, like with that representation.
Yeah, we will see. Like we can't. Like we saw Michael Jordan in his prime, but we had to wait 20 years. That's why the documentary just came out. He played his last good year, because when he played for the Wizards, he was floor Jordan, not Air Jordan. But his last good year, was 98. That was 22 years ago. So you don't see somebody's legacy until you have to take that one. He just stopped becoming president. That's what I'm saying. The shoe sales are even bigger than they are now. I'm just saying that the legacy will be propelled in 20 years from now, in 30 years from now, in 40. Then we can sit back and say, okay, Obama really did, and Obama knows that at this point right now, he knows that his legacy. I mean,
hell yeah, he knows. I
mean, that's why it takes you a while to get in the Hall of Fame. You don't just retire and then automatically get in the Hall of Fame. It's like a 10-year waiting period. But
is that fair though?
What do you mean?
Fair if you come out and I don't know. I just believe in giving people their respect. What is it? Giving them their flowers when they're here.
Oh, 100%.
You see what I'm saying? So I feel like when it comes to certain people, like when there's already a standard there and you beat it, it's like, why do we have to wait when we all can see with our own eyes?
But only
like
time will tell.
But to me, being black in this country, me seeing him in that position, I'm like, damn. And all this shit that he got. Racist shit, his birth certificate, the fact he liked oregano, some weird shit.
The color of his suits.
Yeah, like he faced so much shit that to the point where it was just like, to me, it's like, oh, like I kind of understand how you feel being black and a white.
You research this stuff. This is what I'm saying.
I didn't research it. This is just news. Watching it. Like,
yes,
you know
but I'm saying people don't know this. People do not follow politics like us. That's what I'm saying. His legacy will be. When the Obama doc comes out, this is what I'm trying to say. When the Obama doc comes out,
I can say that.
Then people are not educated. People are not educated about it. That's why you have to wait a year's time will only tell.
See,
that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's not going to be I'm not saying it's going to be bad or anything.
It's going to be bad. You're just saying
I'm
give
just
it
gonna
time.
say, give it time. You will really see his legacy. Yeah.
But for some people who already see it from the jump, like we see Obama, and then we see like the schools, we see more black people enrolling. Like you can point it out, but no one really knows the role he played until like more data comes out. So I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
If you're not following it, if you're not like, oh shoot, this is why I got involved.
Because people don't know about the suits. People don't know about him being the.
Yeah.
No. Honestly, people don't know about what Michelle Obama went through. People don't know about like all that. Yeah, all that stuff. People don't know about that. That will be something that will be told in a later date. And
let's hope it's told by our people though, and people who
look,
because shit, it could be told. It could be told.
It's gonna be told correctly,
right?
But we just went on an Obama tangent. And I didn't even want to go on an Obama tangent. I was trying to talk about black people, and I was trying to talk about the niggas. That's remember that was the original question.
Oh yeah. I answered it.
I think I answered it too.
You were gonna answer it. You didn't answer it.
I didn't answer because I got my on my Obama soapbox.
Oh wait, no, you did answer it. It was your question.
No, it was my question. He was talking about the Wilma O'Neill stuff.
But
so I kind of answered it now, but I want to talk about this.
Did we answer? We started talking about Lil Wayne and.
Yeah, we just.
We went on a fucking tangent.
Yeah, but you know what? That's what happens. When you're having a conversation.
When it's flowing, it's flowing.
And shit, and this is exactly how this podcast needs to go. So, when you asked the question, how do we reach the niggas And then you also ask a question like, Lil Wayne, how do we reach the people who are very high in class, I guess, in society and who are black, and the people who are low class in society who are black? How do we reach those two? I was just explaining that for me, it's hard to say anything or put my view on a different group because I know my experiences shaped me, and I also know my parents, almost their experiences and their life decisions shaped me into the person that I am. So like, with that being said, I couldn't sit here and say, oh, this is what I think you should do being in this group, because I had certain privileges and certain experiences that shaped me to where I'm at. So for example, like being in the suburbs, going to white schools. I'm in a white school where I'm facing racism, and I'm not worried about other black people and stuff like that, because in white institutions you see black people coming together more. But that's with any group. If you go into your minority, people just kind of just group with people who look like them. But I couldn't imagine being in a lower income neighborhood or area, going to a school and not worried, like, yes, it's a white institution, but now I'm worried about other black people who look like me trying to attack me or trying to, you feel me, like they're like my enemy as well in a sense. So what I was trying to say is just that I feel as if, I don't even know what I was saying, like we need more direction and more direction from black leaders, I guess you could say, or just people in the community who's able to actually reach people and speak to their values, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, so that they can get the bigger picture. Like, and with that being said, I'm saying like getting people to not bend to the social pressures of their environment, but they need to understand what's necessary to be successful in America.
Yeah, go to your analogy about the shoes and stuff and how. Yeah, go into your analogy. Yeah.
So, what I learned, which was shocking in school, was the fact that some Southern white people weren't racist, but they were pressured by the other white people to engage in racist behaviors towards other people because that's what the norm. And even though that behavior obviously harms people, being racist, it does, like mentally, stuff like that, seeing another human being as not on the same level. Think about it. Mentally, that's fucked up. But with that being said, that hurt them because it kept them in a bubble and it forced them to basically give away their individuality for the group. And that's harmful. In the same way that I will argue that certain communities, and if we specifically talk about black communities, learned throughout time, even if it's through society, even if it's through survival, that we had to put our worth on other things than ourselves, to the point where I would say that we value buying tennis shoes, like looking good. We'll buy tennis shoes, we'll buy weed, we'll buy alcohol, we'll buy our hair, we will spend tons and tons of money on things that are outside just because of the social forces. We know, as black people, you look good, you feel good. Where that philosophy come from? Really came from, I would argue, trying to assimilate into a white society, trying to present ourselves as clean cut, you feel me? But also, black people, we got to mix it up a little bit.
Got that style.
Yeah. We got to look a little different, put a little spice on it. But with that being said, I feel like that same pressure and that way of life can hold people back, because then you have people who are in lower income communities or lower class spending shit ton of money on those things instead of realizing, oh, if I save up and do this, I could possibly invest in different areas of my life. However, with that being said, I think it's just a hard thing to really say and put out there, because it's like, I don't understand that feeling. I don't understand where that comes from, because I didn't go to school, because I went to a predominantly white school. I didn't go to school where people were trying to talk about, oh, my shoes, how you look, your hairline, all that. Oh, because I went to school and white people, oh, your hair got so long. Oh, my God, da-da-da. They didn't know shit. So I didn't have to sit there and try to really do much. But it's just like a whole nother thing where it's like you're trying to present yourself different than your circumstances with the group of people that you're still trying to impress and be a part of. Like, that's what I'd be thinking. But there's nothing wrong with that if it's not helping. But it is something wrong if it's not helping you build. You feel me? If you're stuck in that poverty loop, if you're stuck not really growing outside of that and not understanding like how you should use your money and your resources. But like I said, my experience is different.
Exactly, and I think that was That was a good point. And look, let me just say this. I'm done. I can't make excuses anymore.
Okay.
But just like you said, when you don't come from a certain background, just because we're all black, I can't just go into certain communities and be like, y'all niggas need to do this. There needs to be somebody that speaks that language and that's from that community. And I think that comes from black people not just saying we spend $1 billion on Jordan tennis shoes a year. Like, we need to stop doing that. But we have to explain why we have to stop doing that. We have to explain certain things. And I just feel like we have this whole movement, Black Lives Matter. We're fighting against police brutality. We're fighting against this. We're fighting against that. And it's just like, if we're not protecting our own communities, we got to have Black Lives Matter every single day. Every single day, not just when somebody from another group comes and does that. Like, I always remember the song, the Kendrick Lamar song, "The Blacker the Berry," and he said, "Why did I weep when Trayvon Martin was bless you?" He said, "Why did I weep when Trayvon Martin was in the streets when gang banging made me kill a nigga blacker than me? Hypocrite." And when he said that, I was like, "Dang!" Because that's really what I'm trying to get at is the thought process of we're in this fight. We're in this fight, and we have to be together. We have to stand together because, oh yeah, you can have the "I can't breathe" shirt on, and you can have that fucking shit, but are you actually standing with your brother when it's not just the fucking white person that's on George Floyd's neck? Are you standing with it when it's another black person on George Floyd's neck? You know what I'm saying? And the government has put that stuff in place in order for the other black person. Like, the government is the person behind the gun, and some black people are the gun that is killing other black people. You know what I'm saying? Not even knowing that it's the white person that is really pulling the trigger, you know? But we cannot no longer be that gun for white people.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. For the government. Even though so much shit is against us, and we just can't continue to do things. Yeah, we can't continue to allow it. Yeah. Right. That's all I'm saying about those communities.
See, and now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I just feel as if that was a good ass point. And like, to take that point and to expand it a little bit, I think it's important for everyone to realize the role that they play too. Because it's like you said, everyone comes from different backgrounds and they obviously have different expectations of how things should be done. However, once we see each other not just as, oh, another black person, but my brother, another, connection there, maybe we'll see difference. That's like at the bare fucking minimum. But then also different levels in it is like people in those communities who do have gangs and gang banging and all that shit as an option, violence and all that, has to figure out what role they can play in order to make sure that that's not harming their communities. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, for me, and then also people higher up who have the money and the resources to actually invest back into those black communities. Like, it's like kind of like a cycle where we're helping each other, and then like the middle class probably working on making businesses, because now you don't have enough money to invest, but you have a little bit enough you can invest in your own company. You feel me? And then the higher black people investing back into the community because they have more money to spare. And that's just a very broad little thing I just came up with. I'm not sure exactly how it's gonna work, but I do kind of see what you're saying, and that's I don't know, like, that's interesting to think about, because it's just like, where do we start really seeing stuff not just black and white sometimes, but taking responsibility for our own actions, accountability for shit like that. But also for me, it's like, when would that wake up call kind of happen though? Because if you're already pre-programmed to think that and you're used to that, when would you understand that that's different? You feel, or meant that's not okay. But that goes with like, I'm not just saying like, oh, poor black people or whatever. It goes for every black person, no matter where they're at. When do you start to sit and just think, okay, how is this benefiting my community? How am I waking up and helping myself, but also helping my community type shit? And it's like, that's where the accountability has to be. And that's where we should focus on that. Because it's just like,
I think that's what the different backgrounds, some people think this. Go into your topic. I remember you were saying how different minorities, they come to America and they have like a common goal. With black people, it's kind of different. Do you remember when you said that?
It was more of like a feeling.
I think I think that's legitimate though. What you said, that was a good ass point.
Because also it's like when people come to the U.S., like there's a certain they let a certain type of people come to the U.S. Like it's not just always the poor minorities that come here. A lot of them are already educated, already have a financial economic backing, and they come here with a plan. Like, we're going to come to the U.S. to start this business. We're going to come to the U.S. so we can work on ourselves, work on our people. And they already have that common goal. And I feel like with black people, it's like we don't really have a common goal in a sense because, like, we don't really have a connection to one another except for slavery in a sense. Like, and if that's like something that people still be like, well, why are you talking about slavery? It was so long ago. How can you really expect people to kind of like have a connection to one another, especially when black is different depending on where you're from? It's like it's just a big disparity in like what it means to be black. And I feel like in order for us to really make any progress, we first kind of have to figure out what commonality we want to move forward on. Like, how can we get a black person from the swamps to have the same common goal as a black person from the valley? Like,
see, that's a good ass question. And I think conversations like this, reaching out to each other, being willing to talk, but also like I'm thinking like having that sense of the talk, having that resource, because to have the talk, that's time that you have to have. You feel me? So having that resource is important as well. You feel me? So it's like, I don't know.
We need some forums, like
and
we were talking about last time, how they had like that Pan-African conference. It was like different. It was like Angela Davis, leaders. Kwame Ture, and they just had a bunch of different activists. Like maybe we just need to put on something where it's like black people from this background, black people from this state, this state, all these different backgrounds kind of come together and kind of just like, this is what my black people need. This is what my black people need. Yeah, in this area, and like, okay, we need all this together. So we can fight for this holistically, and kind of like use that as like our connection.
Right. Oh, that's so interesting you said that, because we know about coalitions. You feel me? And rainbow coalitions, different, colors, people coming together. But for black people, I'm realizing, because of what you said, because we have that shared pain, we have that shared story, that same origin, but we don't have that common goal, because it's like
speaking white,
we have different ideas of what it means to be black, and different things that we want to focus on, different areas in the United States where we live that obviously we're more worried about one thing over the other. Like out here in California, housing is a big ass thing, minimum wage is a big ass thing because it's expensive out here. But somewhere else it could just be access to grocery stores. I mean, that could be everywhere. But what I'm trying to say is maybe we need like a black coalition of our brothers and sisters, like you guys said, from different classes, different motherfucking sexualities, different genders, of course, like just a coalition of different kinds of black people who brings that diverse understanding, but from a black perspective. You feel me? To come together, not just normal like black leaders, but people from different areas of the United States too, because being black, there's different cultural understandings of being black. You feel me? We have the South, we have the HBCUs and shit, then we have like up north, which is just more what, like New York, like we all know like black people, different slang, different ways of living. Like if we were able to get them, like I don't want just the most educated black people there. I want to have people from, like you said, who came from hella stuff, who just are just activists in their community, but from different areas, who can just bring that perspective and have the conversation. And just, if it's not just to push things forward, but just to have that conversation so that we understand just how different our perspective would be, but also the beauty in that. Because it's just like this one group of people who went through this horrific, life-changing, obviously still affecting us to this day experience, but still able to create their own culture, focus on this, and do a lot, but still come together just because we all understand what it means to be black. I don't know.
And that's why I feel like we have to start locally, then we go state, and then we can go global, like in the country. And it's just finding those people from those different backgrounds where we're at right now, and then trying to get a kind of California kind of thing going, and then trying to just branch out to do that, you know. So it's just we have to find those certain people for each background, and I mean we'll see. We just can't be spending billions and billions of dollars on Jordans no more. That's all I'm saying.
Shoes. Since my parents stopped buying my shoes, I probably bought like 2 pairs of Jordans.
Exactly, and it was like I was.
Your parents used to buy, I wish my parents bought
when I was
Jordans.
like,
When
I was younger, my parents bought my shoes, and then as soon as they said no, nigga.
You looked at that price. You said, "Well, no, nigga."
I said, Vans ain't that bad.
But imagine putting shoes over, you know, because this is some thought processes in the community. Imagine putting shoes over something that's way more important. Like you were just sending me something about us. We get a free stock and stuff like that. Imagine putting shoes over stuff that we know will make us money. That's all. That's what I'm saying. And
dang.
I lost my other point. I don't even remember what I was gonna say. But
like to make those type of like educated decisions, like the education for that. And you know, we sometimes we just born with the drip, so like that's so.